Welcome to the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, bringing you the country's top podcast on the subject of internet marketing. I'm your host, Glenn Thayer, and today we'll discuss how to use web statistics. So I'm here today with the CEO of Intuitive Websites, Thomas Young, and Internet Marketing Specialist, Dennis McCarthy. How's it going, guys?
It's going good.
Hey, Glenn.
So give us an introduction to web stats.
Well, everything on a website can be tracked. Any activity on a website can be tracked because it's technology.
Kind of sounds like Big Brother.
Well, it's true. It's true. When you're on a website, you're still anonymous for the most part. But whatever you do on the web is being tracked. And so
Probably less anonymous than you think.
Yeah, that's true. There are programs now that try to track identities of people, but the most they'll get is some server number or a piece of technology. But the bottom line is that you can track what people do on your website in great detail. Now, we don't know what their intentions are or why they're doing something, but every time they click, they're voting. And they're either voting, yes, I like this and want to see it, or by not clicking on it, they're saying, I don't like it, don't want to see it, or I never saw it to start with. So these votes then create log files. And if you have the right kind of software, you can go out and see the story, your website story in the eyes of your website visitors. And when you look at this story, what you're doing really is seeing a very clear picture of your website's effectiveness and also where there are trouble areas on the site.
So why are the stats important? And I guess really, how should they be used when you're marketing your website?
Well, because they're giving you this tremendous insight into your target market, they're extremely important. Any marketing professional will tell you that market research is critical to understanding your marketplace and to developing any kind of marketing plan. So what we see with our clients, though, is it's amazing that most of this is overlooked. I would say that the large majority of CEOs and internet marketing professionals out there, or marketing professionals in general, are not looking at their web stats. It's amazing how overlooked this is.
Well, the number one problem we see is that they don't really know what they want their website to do. And the number two problem is that they're not measuring it. So.
Yeah, they're not even looking at the stats. I mean, something as simple as how many people a month look at the website.
Yeah, but if they don't know what they want their website to do, it really doesn't matter how many people visit it.
That's true. That's true, because they're going to make incorrect conclusions anyway based on the data. But stats are important because they give you instant feedback on your business. I mean, you launch an offer within a day or two, the effectiveness of your offer and on the insights into what your customers are thinking. It's just great market research.
For that matter, launch 5 offers, one for each day of the week, and see which one performs the best and really, really measure it. And if one does 1% conversion and one does a 6% conversion, you go with the one that does a 6% conversion. A website is like a mini market research laboratory that's available every minute of every day. People think of their websites as done. They're not done. They're a conversation with your customers.
Well, now when you're looking at it on a day-to-day basis, you say like launch 5 offers, one for each day of the week, Monday through Friday. What ends up happening if your statistics show you that you have less traffic on Wednesday, or you may have the highest traffic on Monday, or maybe Thursday when people are bored at work, they're surfing your site?
Generally, you'll know what those spikes are. Like some websites, nobody uses them on the weekend at all. So you wouldn't want to run an experiment like that over a weekend. But it's pretty, you don't have to look at very many statistics to see what those trends are. And just make sure you launch those offers on the days where it's pretty consistent. Most websites are surprisingly consistent in terms of traffic.
Right, and traffic on the web tends to run, as far as e-commerce sites, very high on weekends. People are internet shopping on weekends, and then they come in and buy on Mondays and Tuesdays at their office because it just seems to be the way it works. You see the highest sales days now on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then traffic gradually declines during the week.
So they're surfing the web instead of working.
Yeah, we do usability testing. I ask people, where do you surf the web? And it's very, very common for them to surf the web at work for both work and pleasure. Very common. Now, the thing I wanted to mention about stats, kind of Dennis hit on this, is that it's ROI. The bottom line is ROI. Yes, web stats are used to determine if it's profitable to have a web marketing program. And, we're convinced if you do it right, it could be your most profitable marketing program. But stats begin the process of determining ROI by laying the foundation for what you're looking at, your conversion rate, and the total return from the process.
Well, so Tom, what stats are most important?
Well, there's really only a handful of stats. I mean, when you look at what a weblog will produce, it can certainly be overwhelming. In fact, a lot of people don't look at web stats because they at one point they looked at them and they said, "What in the world is this? It makes no sense to me," and they put it away and never came back to it. But we feel like you need to look at 5 or 6 critical areas, and the first one being unique visitors, and whether it's weekly, monthly, daily, look at unique visitors, and there's a difference between visitors and hits. And some people still don't know this, but hits are how many graphic images and pieces of website technology hit your server with every page that was opened. So one page that's open might have a dozen hits to it or more. Unique visitors then are the actual number of people that came to your website. The second area to look at is refers, or where are people coming to your website from on the web.
And how.
And you'll see on referrals, you'll see a lot of these folks are coming in by typing your domain name in, and that's usually called a no refer. That's what it's called in the stats program. You'll also see where people come from search engines, from other websites that have links into you, and a very nice snapshot of how folks are finding your website.
Now, that would be a lot like portals as well. Like portals you subscribe to or anything like that, you may have paid listings on somebody else's website. It'll show you that it comes from there too.
They're called refers in website stat language, and absolutely, you'll see all those. So unique visitors and refers are two of the most important. You also want to look and see what pages are the most popular and how people use your navigation system or other links. What percentage of clicks come through the various links, say, on your homepage or your navigation bar. And to tag onto that, you'll want to try to follow the user's activity on the site, what we call the user pathway or user funnel. And hopefully that most of the users will come into an area of your site that will lead to a conversion, and that's the goal of following those pathways. Then another area it's in some ways tied to refers, but a lot more extensive than just refers, is search engines. And the search engine stats can tell you the keywords people use to find your website. You can tie into link pro or stats programs such as Urchin, which will tell you which keywords resulted in sales on your website. So you can really do a lot with search engines and the detail that comes from search engines. And then finally, the last key area is to look at the stats on your email program. When you drop an email and you send out emails, you should be able to see the activity on the actual email itself, what links they clicked on and how many people opened the email, how many people got off your email list after they saw the email, and so forth.
Now, that would be for utilizing one of the services like Constant Contact or something like that, or is that something you can actually pull off of your email server if you have an email server?
Oh, it's generally using a third-party software company like Constant Contact.
Okay.
Yes.
A couple other things you can track are if you have files that you offer people on your website, you can see how many people downloaded them. And if you have forms on your website for capturing user information, and you should if you don't, you can see whether or not people are using those forms.
Well, how can the stats be used to measure return on investment?
Well, I think it's real important that you work with your stats to develop a series of spreadsheets that really look at each of these key activities. For example, a very basic formula here would be monthly unique visitors, and you set up a bar graph. So once a month, you sit down with the key marketing people in your company and you look at how many unique visitors went on our website. And then you'll start to determine trends as far as, is their business heading in the right direction? Are we getting more unique visitors, or is it dropping off? Or why did we have a spike this month or last month? And take the stats then and look at, well, for the amount of money we're investing in our web marketing efforts, what kind of return are we seeing? And you can attach a dollar sign to all of these stats. For example, you can attach a dollar sign to unique visitors and say, what is it worth on our site when someone clicks through? Based on our conversion rates, based on the amount of leads we get and how many of those leads are closed, you can actually determine a value to each unique visitor. Stats are an excellent way to measure ROI if done properly.
Dennis, I know you're an expert in web stats. Can you tell us some key resources that our listeners should be investigating?
Well, we have a whole toolbox that we use, and some that we recommend for anybody. The first I would have to say is Google Analytics, which is one of the best analytics packages out there, and we like it because it's free. And if you have a Google AdWords account, you can attach Google Analytics directly to what you're spending and the terms that you're buying on Google AdWords, and it gives you some amazing data on the effectiveness of your paid pay-per-click campaigns.
How do you find that at Google?
Just type in AdWords into Google, and I'm sorry, not AdWords, but Google Analytics, and there'll be all kinds of information right there. It used to be when they announced it that they were so overwhelmed with the demand for it that they actually shut it down for a while, and just within the last month or so, it's now open to everybody. So feel free to go and get your free best-of-class analytics package. It's out there waiting for you. Google Analytics gives you tons of data, but one of the things I like the best about it is its sales funnel approach. Many websites don't even know what they want to do with their lead conversion. The sales funnel on Google kind of forces you to think of your website in a sales process kind of a way. And you identify each of the pages that lead to a conversion. So, for example, on a service site, the first page would be telling you about the service, and on that page would be a form where someone can convert, and that form would ultimately lead to a thank you page that thanks them for their conversion. Google Analytics allows you to identify each step in that sales funnel, so you can look at exactly how many people are visiting your site, how many people move to the page where the offer is offered, how many people convert to the thank you page, and you see these amazing, cool little funnels that show you how your visitors are responding to your website very specifically. Another tool that we really like is called ClickTracks. And if you've ever wanted to sit over the shoulder of thousands of web visitors to your site and watch what they do, ClickTracks is about the closest thing you'll get to that. It's the best thing you can do in terms of analytics short of actual user testing. And with ClickTracks, you see your own web page. And superimposed on your own web page are all these little bar charts that show you what percentage of users clicked through to all the different offers on your page. And that's cool. A lot of analytics packages do that. But with ClickTracks, you can actually keep going. You can follow the path of the user and say, okay, the most popular path here is 14% of users from the homepage click on this link. Then you go to the second page and you see from there, where did they go? And you really get a sense of how users interact and behave on your site. And it is amazing how much intelligence it gives you in terms of making modifications to the paths on your site.
A good example of that is you get really surprising information. We have a client recently where the number one link on the home page was the word home. So obviously these people are trying to figure out, is this the home page of the website I'm visiting? And they click on home. So I mean, it's great insights that you see.
As you're looking at a ClickTracks report, you can actually feel the user's pain and frustration as they try so hard to get some value out of your website, and in some cases they're not.
How much does the ClickTracks software cost?
Well, we pay for an agency version of ClickTracks, which is a lot more expensive. Individual versions, somewhere in the $149 range, I believe.
So very, very affordable for somebody who's trying to manage a small site.
ClickTracks.com is the website.
ClickTracks.com, and it's very, very affordable. And it's a very, very worthwhile investment too. You see exactly what users are doing on your site. You can make your money back on the first day with modifications. You'll see. We had a customer who had a webinar that they poured a whole bunch of money into this webinar program, and we went and analyzed their site for 6 months. 0 people clicked on the webinar offer on this homepage. So there were other ways that people were getting into the webinar, of course, but the user reaction to the webinar was practically nothing. So they immediately made corrections and put the webinar in a much more prominent position and brought the conversion rate up by tenfold in one day. So it's a worthwhile investment.
Okay.
Other tools, yeah.
Other tools that we use, we do a lot of analysis of where we are in the search engines, because your best value is search engine placements that are free, the organic search listings, we call them. And we use 3 tools for that have different strengths and weaknesses, but all basically do the same thing. Trend MX is one, and they have a product called SEO Studio. Trend MX is the company, SEO Studio is the product. Web CEO is another product that does SEO ranking type of analyses. And Web Position 4 is a substantial upgrade to what earlier versions of Web Position, and they're owned by Web Trends now, another great analytics program. And some of the reports we're getting out of that program are absolutely beautiful, and the kind of reports that you need for sort of an executive summary of the website. Because the problem with all these analytics tools is that there's too much data, and CEOs in particular need to see a snapshot of what's working and what's not, so they can make those quick decisions.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Well, we end each of the podcasts with an action item plan. So what are the key action items for the listener this week?
Well, I think number one has to be to go to the websites of these products that Dennis just mentioned and do some evaluation of what might work best for you. We have a resources page with the podcast that will list all of those websites. I think it's critical that you contact either your hosting company or your IT department and let them know that you want to see stats delivered to you in a readable manner, once a week, once a month, or whatever it's going to take, so that you can keep an eye on the web activity of your website.
And I even think some of the hosting companies like Earthlink offer that specifically with their packages.
Right. If you're a smaller business, you might use an Earthlink or a similar service, and they'll have that right there. You can click online and see it. But for most CEOs and directors of marketing and key decision makers, someone should be providing that for you and sending it to you on a regular basis. And then once you start to see that, you should definitely have an ROI tracking system that is based on these stats and that also looks at conversions. It is so critical that you use your web stats then to click or to relate to your conversions. And in fact, that we just did a podcast on conversions. Go listen to that one if you haven't already. And then finally, I think that really you need to spend some time on ClickTracks.com. Because you probably will need some kind of log file analyzer software so that you can see charts and graphs of your website activity. And of course, the search engine reports that Dennis mentioned are absolutely critical.
I'd say bottom line, insist on great analytics. Very often the analytics that come for free aren't very good. And make sure that your analytics are tied in with your goals. We talked about the CEO. The CEO's job is to set those goals.
Well, you heard it, folks. This has been the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. And for more information and to see all the available podcasts and much more, visit intuitivewebsites.com.